We're so scared of being vulnerable that we end up missing out on genuine connection. Yesterday I was talking with a friend, telling her about how embarrassed I felt because I was talking to this guy, nothing romantically, we just recently met. We're talking and having great conversations and I was enjoying that a lot, and then he just never replied again. I felt so embarrassed because I was the last person to text, and my friend said, why would you feel embarrassed because you replied? Like, he should be the one to feel embarrassed because he just disappeared. And so I realized that the reason why I felt embarrassed was because I felt vulnerable. It made me think about why we're so scared to be vulnerable. And I know why. I know because we've been hurt in the past, or we've been vulnerable in the past, and that hasn't turned out well. But it made me wonder, what does vulnerability actually mean? Because if you think about it, vulnerability can be found in the smallest things. So for example, reaching out to someone for the first time can make you feel pretty vulnerable because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the other person's going to reply. Being vulnerable, of course, can be about opening up about a tough topic, a complex topic, something that you're going through and that you wouldn't tell everyone. Well, last night, a different friend of mine was telling me about how he grew up with the idea and the misconception that he should not be vulnerable. And in the end, he said it's some sort of social expectation. That's exactly when I told him, if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable with people, then you're going to miss out on experiences, on people, on life itself, because connection, a genuine connection, comes from being vulnerable, or at least that's part of it. Nowadays, people are just seeking something superficial, something that's not deep, and it's not because they don't want to. It's not because no one's craving connection. It's because they learn that being vulnerable is a bad thing because it can bring some negative scenarios. It can end up in some pretty bad stuff, and that means being hurt. I don't know if you've read this quote online. I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's something like, you cannot embarrass yourself by seeking connection, or you cannot embarrass yourself while seeking connection. In essence, meaning that whatever you do trying to connect with another human at any level cannot be a source of embarrassment and should not make you feel bad or regretful. What I told my other friend, the one who's scared of being vulnerable, was that you realize that being vulnerable isn't the bad thing. The bad thing comes from what people do with this vulnerability of yours. But that's not in your hands. You cannot control that. And I know that can be hard. The lesson is not to hide and protect yourself at all costs by avoiding being vulnerable, but going through life being okay with the idea that you were vulnerable, you were seeking connection, you decided to open up to the world, and knowing that you stay true to yourself no matter what. So if you felt embarrassed because you were seeking connection and you did some funny stuff, don't be. I know how it feels, I know I've been there. I think you should be very proud of yourself for that. Thank you for watching.